Welcome to 5 Minute Friday, everybody, where we share our best tips and tricks to help you get just a little bit better every week. Eddie, I'm going to talk about something this week that's a little bit near and dear to my heart. People around me know this.
Okay.
I don't know if I've spoken of it on the podcast before, but people who work with me will be like, yeah, I'm aware. I have ADHD, like pretty hardcore. And it's actually more of a recent realization of mine where I spoke with some other people who have it. And it was like, holy cow, my life makes sense now. This is actually something that it helped me. It actually helped me to realize that I had ADHD. And so I think there are some people out there that don't realize that they have it, for one, but also for the people that do. I want to kind of speak to both camps here. So let's identify first and foremost ADHD in a nutshell, which is, this is very condensed since this is a 5-minute episode, but essentially, your inability to focus, you're a lot more fidgety. You can actually have a hot temper if you can't come out of like hyperfocus and things too, which is where you're like super duper focused on something. And you know this. It's like if you come over and you interrupt me when I'm in the middle of something that I'm super focused on, what do?
Yeah, you're gonna not be in a good mood.
I will bite your head off pretty quickly, which is crazy. Because typically I'm like, hey, happy-go-lucky, all that stuff. But like, dude, you interrupt me in focus time, I'll lose it. So like some of those little indicators beyond the fact of like getting motivated to get work done, like getting it started, it feels like Everest to me a lot of times where it's like, I got to answer 5 emails. It feels like Everest. And so little things like that actually are indicators of you might have ADHD, and you could probably talk to some people about it and confirm that or whatever. I'm not going to diagnose you here. But all I know is that it's not a bad thing, for one. It's really not. It's actually kind of a superpower if you can leverage it that way. And so this isn't doom and gloom talk. This is, hey, look on the bright side. If you got ADHD, your brain works a little bit different. There's some tools that I'm going to share here in a second that can help you be a little bit more effective, be a little bit more like productive. So I'll share those, but also just before I get into that, just realize you can actually leverage this, and you're geared that way for a reason. And it can be pretty effective in the business world if you know how. Running a business, that is actually, it can be very advantageous. Delegation. So getting work done with ADHD. I kind of wrote down really quickly some of the things that help me out. Timers. So Pomodoro timers. Pomodoro. I don't know how to say that properly. You can actually install some browser extensions in like Chrome or in Safari or any of these other ones that you have. You can actually get some that sit on your desk too. If you don't have ADHD, this would actually be a pretty good tool for you too. So get yourself a timer. If you have trouble focusing, you can dial that thing into 15 minutes, hit the button and say go. And then you just say, I'm going to focus for 15 minutes on this. Blocking things out for yourself, really, really helpful. But you've got to kind of read what blocking things out looks like for you and how it works. It's going to be different for me and it's going to be different for everybody else, right? So timers. That's the first one. Working out. Good for your health anyway, but also there's been some science, and maybe we can find some to put in the show notes here to kind of back up this statement. So I'm not completely speaking out my butt. But there is definitely science to backs up like this will help you kind of tame it. This will help you kind of keep it in check. It's not going to solve it, but it does reduce some of the effects, helps you focus. So just going for a run, lifting weights, eating well, that's another thing. I struggle with that, but because I love pizza, I freaking love pizza. I mean, look at this temple. If you're on YouTube, just look at it. It's temple built on carbs. Anyway, so working out, big one. Systems is another one. And this might actually be something that you find yourself doing more and more of right now is if you have ADHD, you might find yourself building more systems and like trying to systematize it so you get things done. Because you know that if you have to grunt and go and you have to do that stuff consistently, things are going to start falling through the cracks. So I learned this is actually why ADHDers are pretty good in business ownership, is because they have been building systems since they were like 5. They've had to in order to survive, like in order to function. And so you can look up the statistics on that. There are a crap load of people with ADHD. Like it might almost be the majority of founders who have ADHD. Really interesting studies. And my last one, the favorite, coffee, caffeine, actually helps with focus in ADHD, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
It actually kind of, it throws a switch in your brain and it can help you with that. So that is something that I've actually uncovered more recently. So that might be why I'm such a caffeine addict. I don't know. I still don't get anything done. So I think it's, I'll add another one in there. Accountability is a huge one too. So yeah, accountability is huge. So this podcast was started by me, as in like show up. Hey, I've got the tools. We're going to make a podcast, Eddie. And you were like, what? But the only reason it's still in existence is because you pushed me and you said, no, we're staying with it. Having editors and other people around me saying like, no, we got to do this thing week in, week out. That helps tame it. That also kind of goes into some of the systems and processes. So there you go. I just unloaded, I know, this week. But this is something that I'm pretty passionate about. We could probably do a longer episode on this for sure and really unpack it. But I wanted to kind of do a condensed episode on this for anybody that might think that they have ADHD. Maybe try some of these things, but also go out and talk to somebody who knows. I know I've talked a lot to Noland, who came in here and was an interviewee. And he studies ADHD, and he actually invited me to come over and put some like diodes on my head and like do the whole thing. So I'm like pretty pumped about that too. So they're going to like look at my brain. This would be fun. And they're just going to see circus monkeys and chickens and stuff in there. I don't know. So there you have it, guys. ADHD. And it was probably like 10 minutes of me just ADHD and all over the place. But, hopefully that was helpful in some way.
All right. There you have it. Go build something awesome.
Go build something awesome.